In this video we sail from Suriname to the Caribbean Sea. We're actually going to Martinique to get some repair done on our autopilot that doesn't work, which means sailing this 5-day passage without an autopilot. You can also see how things spiral out of control and how tired you can get without things like autopilot, and then how other injuries can happen without correct use of winches, which you'll see.
You and me, we're family. The bond that we share is as deep as the sea. No matter how rough things may come to be, you and me, we're family.
So we're leaving Suriname. This will be our last day. We're just passing Paramaribo now, over on our left. Jungle's over there, and it's been an amazing place. We had no concept of what it was like other than hearsay from friends, really. There's barely even any blogs on the place. But in the 4 or 5 weeks we've been here, we've explored as much as we can. 2 rivers, the Suriname River and the Kottega River, and lots of creeks in between. I think our main takeaway here has been lots of bugs. Lots of bugs that just want to bite you, sting you or suck your blood. But apart from that, once you can get over that, the biodiversity is amazing. I think it's one of the widest ranging biodiversities in the world, and that even includes Brazil. We've seen turtles, sloths, caimans, snakes, I mean tarantulas. We've seen about every sort of bug and creature and scary thing that you could ever want to meet. But anyway, we're heading off now. We're going to catch in the current down the river. We're going to anchor off in the delta, the river mouth, and then first light tomorrow we're going to take the tide and carry on up to the Caribbean. We're not exactly sure where yet, but we're kind of aiming for Martinique, but things could change, as they often are in this time of COVID crisis. But anyway, onwards.
This is mothership out.
There's a narrow channel going out of Suriname, and it's very shallow on either side, so you have to stick within this channel. We're a bit of leeway at the moment because it's high water, but there's lots of traffic going in and out of this bit, and the wind is slightly too much on, it's nearly on the nose. It's not on the nose, it's just slightly off the nose. So I wanted to sail the whole thing, but we decided we're going to put the engine on so I don't drift into those shallows. As soon as we're out, we're going to be steaming along on a beam reach. So far things aren't going so well. The autopilot we knew wasn't going to work, so we knew we'd have to hand steer up from Suriname to Martinique, which is 5 days. But the furler for the main, which Woody had fixed, turns out this sort of burnt out again, so it's probably another fault. Yeah, no, it's not working. Okay, it stopped working now. I can't put the main away. For some reason when he bashes it, it goes in. Yeah, it's working now. That's it, I'm not getting that main out again on this trip. So that's annoying. Apart from that, we can't seem to get the right angle, and the wind is just taking us closer to the Venezuelan coast, which we wanted to stay like a good 130 miles off from the oil rigs. We're sort of beating into the wind and swell with no autopilot and a mainsail that doesn't go in and out. So yeah, it's probably one of the worst passages we've had so far. Right, I'm going to try and get some sleep now, just because I know that, well, I've been on the helm for 7 hours and I'm kind of exhausted, and also it's the first day. You never feel great when you first go out sailing, having not sailed for a month or so. Everyone feels a little bit, you know, sort of tired and seasick and ropey, so I'll try and get an hour's sleep before, maybe try and give them food to them later. Okay, so everybody's having to have a go at driving. It's tiring. Now we're motoring to try and get out so that we can hopefully sail some of the rest of the way, but we want to get away from this coastline because we don't want to go too near to Venezuela, because we know there's some been some fishing boats approaching some of the oil rigs out there and the other boats. So we just want to get away from the coast so we feel a bit safer before we head up north. So the only way of doing it is to motor, and that's it really. But yeah, it's kind of quite tiring because you've got to just hand sail the whole way. Anyway, that's life.
So this is the first night watch. Unfortunately, we've had to put the engine on because we can't quite get the angle that we need to get up to Martinique. Just off our port side here, we've got French Guiana, and then we're passing Venezuela, which we're trying to give a wide berth to because of all the pirate activity that's been going on there. And we've got a couple of vessels ahead. I'm not quite sure what they are. I think they're oil exploration vessels. The autopilot's actually come on, but it will only stick to one position, and if I switch it off, it doesn't come back on again. So even though the autopilot is working, we can't adjust it, and because we've got boats dead ahead, I'm having to slow down and let the current take us around these boats, because they're quite big boats. But at least we're underway. We should be there in about 4 or 5 days, depending on wind and current.
Right, so we motored all night and we managed to get away from the coast. We had to go between a couple of oil rigs, but that was okay. But we're a good 110 miles, that's as far as we can get off the coast. So we're going to take this course up, I think. The winds should shift slightly to a bit more east, which will help, but we'll still be beating up the whole way, I think. Sleep's always really bad on the first day, just kind of get it when you can. What else? Yeah, the autopilot was working all night with the engines. That's why we left it on as well. But we've put this just sailing now, and it doesn't seem to be working. But even without the autopilot, the boat's just sailing itself, so it's quite nicely trimmed. So who needs an autopilot, eh? We do. No, but it's kind of working anyway. I'm just sort of down here in the boat sailing, so it's fine. But this is going to be a tiring one, I think. Anyway, that's it. This is day 2.
So we're into our second night watch. It's been pretty uneventful up to now. We've had lots of oil survey ships around us, but nothing much else. We've kind of passed the coast of French Guiana now, and the angle's shifted slightly now. The seas have steadied a bit, but we've lost the autopilot altogether. The other thing we forgot to do was download the navionic charts for the Caribbean on our Galaxy tablet, which is a bit of a pain. I mean, we've always got backup, but it means our main sort of navigation pad hasn't got the charts we want for the rest of the journey until we get data. But we've got backups. We've got a Garmin version on an iPad 1, and we've got the navionic backup on my phone. So we're not totally without navigational aids. Irenka and the kids are still trying to find the sea legs. It's been pretty confused sea up to now, but it is flattening out a bit. I'm kind of piling on the pounds because none of the kids are eating their lunch or their dinner, or very little of it, so I'm having to clear the plates.
So after my watch, Rowan does an early morning watch, but I sleep in the cockpit just to make sure I'm there if she needs me. Okay, so I'm going to do this lying down because it's just too tiring and exhausting to stand up. So the first day and night we were beating into the wind, which is really hard work anyway, and if you've got a hand steer the whole time, yeah, it made it really difficult. And then and that carried on for the next day, and then last night it kind of switched. The wind shifted slightly as we got further north, so it's more easterly. We're on more of a beam reach, but we still got quite a big swell, which is still quite tiring. It kind of doesn't help when you're tired and then you're not eating, so you feel quite exhausted and your stomach feels really empty. We're probably about halfway now, and I'd like to say hopefully it'll calm down, but I don't think it's going to. This wind is here to stay, and the autopilot's not going to come back either. So yeah, it's really hard work, this passage. Food wise, I've kind of managed to eat, there's these massive grapefruits that you buy in Suriname, so I managed to eat half of that, and we keep sort of munching on bits of apple, but fruit always seems to be the best thing for me and the kids. as so Woody just carries on eating as normal. And I stand there a lot of the time at night just holding onto the wheel, asleep, just steering it, and hopefully when it moves that'll wake me up. When the sea's like this, it's really difficult even just doing anything really, moving about the deck, and you know, it's where things start going wrong. So at the moment we've got poles that are tied down but not well enough, so Woody's got to go up there and try and tie it off, but it's like the worst time you want to be tying things down. Yeah, everything's so much more difficult when you've got this really horrible distorted sea state. We've got no idea why it's so mixed up, but it's horrible. A massive wave just come over. I think it got Woody. So then the wind picked up and Woody went down below. So I was up here on the helm and I wanted to reef up, and I had to do it quite quick because the wind was picking up quite quickly. So normally what we'd do is we would turn on the autopilot, come back here, and then, so you've got the winch loaded up like this. So it's really tight and it's got a lot of heavy load on it because it's the sail that powers our boat. So there's masses of power in it. So you have to kind of, normally you would slowly keep your little finger towards the winch and take it off, always keeping the tension on. And then you would ease it out like this. So it all happened really quickly, and I think what happened is I came up here and I just took it off and let it loosely, and I think somehow my fingers got caught inside the rope and it just snatched it, and somehow my finger got trapped underneath there, and I suddenly felt this really intense pain, and I kind of basically had to lie down because I thought I was going to pass out. So I did that, and then we realised that I'd, you know, basically injured my finger. We weren't sure how bad, but we knew it was pretty bad because it was just hurting so much, even if I slightly touched it. So yeah, just to go through, winches are, you know, probably most accidents on our boat happen with winches, either hitting them with your feet. That was, I don't know if you remember one of our other blogs where Ewan hit it with his toe and really cut underneath his toe. But so they're generally dangerous if you accidentally hit them, but they are probably, you know, if you take that off, there's so much load in it, and you have to be really careful. There's certain ways of using them that makes it safe, and a lot of it's about keeping tension on, keeping your hands away from the winches, keeping your little fingers pointing towards it, and just remembering, you know, how much load there is in it. Also, the other thing is we never wear rings or anything because they can sometimes get caught. But yeah, safety and winches. So the first thing that we did was to check if there was any major deformities, and then we splintered it up with another finger that was next to it to provide extra support. This bit was really painful, but there's nothing much you can do when you're out here. The main thing is that if it does need to reset, that it's going to reset in the right position. So Woody's getting his sleep because he'll do the first half of the night, and I'm up here helming with my hand, which is quite painful, and the kids have been really good. But there's a boat that's kind of heading our way, and it comes up on the AIS, but there's no name on it and no details apart from its speed, so I'm just keeping a close eye on that.
So, Mum's sailing the boat with a crushed finger. I think all the bones have been splintered because it was crushed by the winch. There's pirates coming from Venezuela towards us. It has no details on it apart from the AIS. And Dad's sleeping, so he can't help us.
This is the third night watch, and it's getting really tiring now without the auto helm. So we're hand steering, and the seas have picked up, and so it's becoming increasingly difficult to steer a steady course, especially as we're all really tired now, and we're tending to kind of lose concentration, and then the boat sort of veers off course and we go too far downwind, or we suddenly start luffing up. I've taken a couple of diving weights and put them in a plastic bag and hung them over the bottom of the wheel to try and kind of hold a steady course, which seems to be helping a little bit, but even then it's got to be adjusted every minute or so. So I'll be on watch now till 3 o'clock in the morning again. Irenka's still suffering a bit from seasickness, and she hurt her finger today on the winch. She got her finger caught in the winch. So that kind of she was in a bit of shock for a while. Horrible journey this, and we all can't wait for it to be over. The other thing that happened tonight was suddenly we had a wave over the bow, and the windlass to the anchor suddenly came on and started to try and retract the anchor. Obviously the anchor's secured, so it was just basically ratcheting in place, so there was just this almighty crunching sound going on until we could work out what it was. I mean, I switched off all the deck gear as soon as we kind of worked out what was going on, and then we could isolate it as being the anchor. So all in all, not the best night, and it's only, it's not even 11 o'clock and we've still got the whole night to go, and possibly another night tomorrow as well. So looking forward to finishing this journey. So with everybody out of action, I kind of having to be nursemaid, cook, cleaner, and I'm also doing watches till 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm doing a watch straight through till 3 o'clock, and then Irenka comes on, and then then Rowan comes on for another couple of hours, and then I'm back off on watch. So basically, I get 5 hours sleep, which is okay as long as I can have a beer and a good sleep when I get there. I'm fine, I can function. But I'm trying to do everything all at the same time and having a few disasters because the water's really choppy. I mean, we didn't expect the waters to be this confused in the Caribbean. Hence the reason everybody's feeling a bit ropey. And it's really hard when you're trying to do everything to keep it tidy as well, so I can't wait to get there, put anchor down and just tidy up the place a bit. So, just putting a loaf of bread on, and I'm going to see if I can persuade people to eat by making some chocolate mug cakes. The thing is, if they can't eat it, that means I've got to eat it all. This should be a disaster.
Woody?
Yeah?
You have to put a little bit more of a reef in, it's picking up and I'm finding it hard to do it with one hand.
Just a sec.
Casually put it down. So we're on the final day now. The wind's calmed down a bit, the swell has slightly, but yeah, I'm just managing to helm really with my fingers in a splint. We're trying to slow down a bit so that we arrive in the morning, because we don't really want to have another drama if we arrive at night and end up on a coral reef somewhere, which anything's possible at the moment. So yeah, so this is me helming on the final day.
Hot and sticky and long and lonely, because everybody's been staying on deck.
Have you been doing all the galley stuff in the last 4 days?
I've been nursemaid, I've been cook, I've been cleaner, I've been general dog's body.
What's Dad made?
Daddy's made this special thing. It's a special day Daddy making thing. Let's try it.
What have you made?
Don't feel dairy.
Ginger and pear cake. Make mummy feel better.
Pear and ginger cake. I think I should let Woody in the galley more often, because we get like things like this.
If you think about it, it tastes like dark chocolate cake.
Really good.
I'm glad to say to get a book. So Darry got a zombie book and I got a mug cake book. And that's where this came from. Really good.
So we're almost there. We've just got one overnighter, and just when we thought nothing else could go wrong, we've just tried the generator to charge the batteries up, and the generator is not working. We thought it was the batteries, but we charged the batteries up with the engine, so they're fully charged, but the generator still is not having any of it. So that's another thing to add to the list. I'm surprised we're going to have any boat left by the time we get there. On the final leg into Martinique now. That's been a really awful journey, but we should be there by about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. It's calmed down a bit, and there's the moon's really bright, so we've got good visibility tonight. And I should be off watch in about an hour and a half, and get about 3 hours sleep before I get up again and try and find our way into Martinique. A lot of fish. So we're about a mile offshore from Martinique now, and we've just raised the French flag, we're just not sure what to expect because there is COVID restrictions in place and the rules are quite complex. If you're a European citizen, then you can stop for repairs and maintenance, but we're a British flag boat, and since Brexit we're not sure we're going to be welcome anymore. There's always been a bit of antipathy towards the British from the French, I think, so we're just not sure the reception we're going to get. However, Irenka and the kids have got Czech passports, so that's a European citizen on a British flag boat with a British dad. So and in time of COVID, when we're going to self-isolate or quarantine for 7 days, and we've only been at sea for 5 days, so it's all a bit up in the air.
Before you come, you're supposed to kind of let them know. So we did make inquiries actually first, and they don't actually authorise you to come or not, and they also say that, you know, if you need to stop, I mean, you are allowed to stop and anchor anyway, whatever your boat, if you need to rest. So, you know, worst case scenario, we'll be able to just rest and then, you know, perhaps we'll get moved on, but we hope not, because the repairs we need, there is actually a dealer for these boats, because it's a French boat, in this island, so we're really hoping we can get in touch with that dealer and get some spare parts that we need. Just the other thing is, yeah, I mean, we don't know what's happening with this, so there's a possibility that I need to go and get some medical attention, and that's also, I think they allow that as well, whatever your nationality. But yeah, difficult at the moment. As they say, c'est la vie. These masses of lobster pots. Everywhere we look, we can't seem to get through. I don't know where to go through or not, whether it's a net.
There's a massive anchorage and there's loads of boats, like loads. At first we thought it was a marina because there was so many boats.
doing this, it looks really tricky getting in here actually. And one of the charts is directing us through this really odd bit where there's zero depth, but we're going to follow these boats. This one looks better.
And when we arrived in St Anne Bay, we listened to the cruiser's net to find out what the situation was.
The Prefet has ordered a new curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. for the next 3 weeks. All restaurants in the malls are to close, and there will be stricter control over social distancing. And 50% of the new cases are of the more contagious variants.
A big thanks for watching, and especially thanks to our patrons who make these videos possible. If you'd like to become part of the Patreon family, then follow the link in the description below, or just put Mothership Adrift Patreon and I'll take you to the right place.
You and me, we're family. The bond that we share is as deep as the sea. No matter how rough things may come to be.
We would really love to hear from you, so if you'd like to leave comments, then go to our Facebook page or Instagram, or even to our Patreon page where you can connect to us immediately.
Stay by your side, oh, hey, you'll always be